Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be this fun, neutral, but also very glittery nail set. So I'm starting off with this peel off base from Vettsy, and I am actually going to be using full cover tips for this nail set. I have a really busy week. I'm actually filming this on Thursday, and I'm doing these nails for my sister-in-law's wedding on Sunday. So I was really busy, and because the wedding is so close to when I was doing these nails, I just didn't have time to start building my nails from scratch. So I decided to just use these full cover tips that I have, and these are the ones from HONA. They are the long stiletto nails, and they're the same ones that I actually do my nail art on when I just do like art on tips. And I had a pack with like all the different sizes and stuff, so I just sized them out, and I am just using this solid gel from Vettsy to adhere it to my nails, and it actually worked out really well. So it's kind of like a putty texture, as you can see here, but it's pretty solid, as the name would suggest. And basically what you have to do is just get your hands, well, always wear gloves because you never want to touch gel with like your bare skin. But I was just using a little bit of alcohol on my fingertips to make sure that the gel didn't stick to my fingers too much, and then I just placed it down. It was very similar to using poly gel. So if you're familiar with that consistency and using something like that, poly gel, hybrid gel, whatever you call it, it was very similar to that concept of just like filling in the cuticle area and the apex, and then making sure that I was placing it down straight on my nail, and then just using this little lamp here to do a cure, just like a brief like 30-second cure. And then after I apply all the nails, I put my hand in like the big lamp and do a full 60-second cure after, to make sure that everything is straight. And as you can see, it actually worked out really well. For my second hand, I didn't show it on camera, but I actually used a dotting tool to scoop up the gel because my nails were so long at this point. When I put on a glove to use it, my finger, like the nail, just went right through. So I actually used a dotting tool, and I just made sure to like dip the dotting tool into some alcohol so it wouldn't stick, and then I just scooped up a little goop of the solid gel here and filled in the tip that way. And it actually worked out really well because the dotting tool has like a rounded, it's a dot, it's round. It actually really gets nicely into like the high apex of the nail, because if we're putting the gel on the inside, there's like a big like well for like a nice apex to go there. And using the dotting tool actually was like really great for like getting into all the nooks and crannies, because it had like that nice roundedness to it that was just easy to like flow the product, as opposed to like a straight edge that could be hard sometimes to get like a nice smooth application in that deep well. So I'm just making sure that I am cleaning up any excess product that leaks out, and removing any excess product over here when it was just looking a bit too much, and then doing a cure. And the reason why I decided to do the tips over here instead of building it out was, like I said, I have a pretty busy weekend. I was doing these on Thursday, the wedding is on Sunday, and not connected and not related, but I do also have a friend coming over. She's in school for like occupational therapy, and she has to do field work for a few months as part of her curriculum, and she's actually doing it near me. So she is flying in Friday morning. So I was going to be really busy, and once my friend is here, she's going to be Friday probably through until Sunday morning. The wedding is Sunday evening, so I wanted to hang out with her. Obviously, I didn't want to like spend the whole time while she was here, or even any time just doing my nails. I really wanted to just give her my full attention. I haven't seen her in such a long time, and I'm so excited that she's going to be here. So I had taken off the previous set that I had because I wanted to have like this slightly sheer application of polish, and I wanted to make sure that I had a clear base. The previous set that I had was built with builder gel that had like a pinkish nude color to it, and I didn't want that color to be seen under it because I kind of wanted a clear base. And also my natural nails had grown out pretty long, and because I was doing a clear base, initially I was going to build it with hard gel, and then I just didn't end up having time with work and life and everything like that. Because my natural nail had grown out so long, I didn't want that to be seen through the nail because I was doing like a more sheer application. So I wanted to make sure that I cut down my natural nail as well. So all those things like just really played a factor, and I just didn't have time to do building a nail from scratch for all 10 nails. It was just going to take way too long, and I wanted to make sure I had this done and I didn't have to think about it. So that's why I was doing nail tips here, and I actually haven't used tips in such a long time. Ever since I really started using hard gel, I haven't used tips at all, so this was like a fresh new experience. So I was just making sure I was using a buffer on my nails over here to smooth out the edges in between doing these, I had something in the oven, so I had to like stop for a second and go grab something from the oven, and then I washed my hands and dried them on a towel, and I realized that my nails were like snagging on the towel while I was drying my hands because the edges were quite rough. So you want to make sure that you're always buffing your nails, whether they're tips or application. And over there, I just cleaned off the camera lens as well because it got all dusty from all the dust going on. But you always want to make sure that you're finishing off your nails with a nice buff to make sure that your nails aren't snagging on things. You don't want to ruin anything with your tips or your hard gel application, whatever you use to extend your nails. It's always nice not to scratch yourself when or ruin something with your nails. So now I'm using this Beetles Builder in a Bottle. So this is a builder gel, but it's a soft gel. So it is not like file off, and it's not good for really long extensions. It's kind of really just made for short extensions or to do like an overlay like this. So I was actually using this to seal off the area around my cuticle. Hi, I just got back. My phone was ringing, so I had to take a phone call, so I don't really remember what I was in the middle of saying, but I am using this Beetles Builder in a Bottle gel to kind of seal off the edges of this tip here. One of my biggest issues with using full cover tips in the past has been that they don't really fit my nails very well. I think my nails are really flat, and also sometimes the shape of them don't really fit my cuticles very well, and in the past, before I was experienced and didn't really know all of the rules and the details and the best ways of application, I would always get those greenies under my nails because as the nail would grow out, it just wouldn't fit my natural nail anymore. So that's one of the main reasons why I actually ended up switching to hard gel in the first place, because I would just always have some sort of trouble with these tips. So after, doing nails for a much longer time now, I did that like years ago when I first started doing my nails, and just learning more techniques and learning more about like the process and everything like that, I realized that I probably wasn't like flushing the tip to my cuticle as well as I should have, and that's why when it would grow out I would have issues. So basically what I did when I was filing was I made sure to smooth out the cuticle area and bring it low down to my natural nail. My natural nails are pretty flat, so when I have these tips, especially like that have like a thicker cuticle, sometimes they like stand up higher than my natural nail. So I wanted to make sure that I was filing it down to bring it all down to the same level. And then I'm using the builder gel over here to kind of seal off the edges and kind of like fill in the gap between my cuticle and the tip. And hopefully that will prevent any issues. I did also use a peel off base coat so that as these grow out, I can take them off if I wanted to. I did that for two reasons. First of all, it's just easier to take off a tip when you have a peel off base coat. You can just pop them right off. And also I wanted to potentially keep these if I wanted to use them again in the future, since I figured I'm doing tips anyway. I can preserve these and wear them again if I wanted to. When I do hard gel nails and I do designs right on that, I have to file it all off to do the next design. So I figured while I'm using tips anyway, I may as well take advantage of being able to remove them without ruining them, and then maybe use them again if I wanted to. So now it comes the fun glittery bits. So after I cured that hard gel the builder layer, sorry, it's not a hard gel, it is a soft gel, it can be filed off. I am adding a bunch of glitter to my cuticle area. So if you see that like sea foamy green glitter that I'm using over there, it doesn't look as green when I end up putting it on the nail, but in the pot it looks really, really green. And that is the color of the dress that I'm wearing. The color scheme was pastels, so I went for like a pastel sagey green. And then I got these glitters in my recent Vettsy order. I did an order from Vettsy 3-4 weeks ago. I don't remember when I did the order and everything like that. And I wasn't necessarily thinking about doing this set and using those for this nail design that I knew was coming up, but it ended up actually working out really well, because I was like, oh my gosh, these glitters are pretty much the exact color of my dress. Again, once I put it on my nail, it doesn't actually have the same exact color. It kind of like, they're a bit sheer and translucent, so it kind of like takes on the color from under, but it was just such a perfect color. It's like the perfect match to my dress. I figured I'll throw that into the design as well. And then just pulling out some of these green and neutral glitters. And I didn't realize that this other glitter that I had from Vettsy had dried flowers in it. I knew that when I bought it, but I forgot when I was like pulling it out of my drawer with all of my glitters and stuff. And at first, when I first pulled out that cute little yellow flower that I put on my thumb, I was like, maybe I shouldn't use it because it doesn't match my color scheme. But then I was like, you know what, it's actually really cute. I really like how it looks. It adds a little bit of texture and detail to it, even though it's not the same color as the dress that I'm wearing. And also I'm only, wearing that dress for one night, and I'm going to be wearing these nails for, at least a couple weeks. So I figured it doesn't really have to match the dress perfectly, and the little flower detailing was just so pretty and I really liked it, so I left it in. So I'm just, applying a bunch of glitter to my nail. I did a base coat down first. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. And I didn't cure the base coat. I'm leaving it wet to kind of use the sticky layer, and just really going chaotic with the glitter, I guess you could say. There's no real placement. I'm trying to make sure that things don't layer up too much because I don't want the cuticle to get too thick, especially because I really didn't want to have to do like a detailed encapsulation layer. I really wanted to keep this set simple and quick. I was also doing this, so I said I was doing it on Thursday. I was doing it Thursday morning, like at 8:30 in the morning, because I knew I had like a really busy day ahead of me. So I didn't want it to take too long. I had a lot of stuff to do, and I figured that one of the best ways to prevent having to do too much work is to keep the glitters nice and thin, so I don't have to do too much filing afterwards. So I'm just placing down the glitters. As you can see here, it's a lot of fun. I allowed myself to get really messy with it, which is something that I love when I'm playing with glitters and stuff. I really don't want to have to be too precise with it. I don't want it to like be a chore. I feel like there's something about glitter that is just naturally chaotic. It gets everywhere. My hands were sparkly, my table was sparkly, everything is glittery, and it is so fun. I love it. So just kind of like being a little bit like chaotic with it. And then after that is done, I'm going to do a base coat over it to make sure that nothing moves. So this is basically like the encapsulation layer, and I wanted to avoid having to do anything too thick, which is why I was keeping the glitters nice and thin, and just doing the base coat over top of it to make sure that my next layer doesn't get glitter where I don't want it. So I'm just kind of like, sandwiching it between the two layers. I'm sorry that I kept getting out of frame. I just wanted to make sure that I was getting all areas of my nail around the cuticle and everything like that. And sometimes when I'm in the zone, as you can see, I had music on while I was working. Sometimes I just forget that I need to be on camera sometimes. But I'm just doing this layer over here, and at this point, like, my base gel was almost finished, so I decided that I was just going to make it my glitter base coat, because having to wipe it off in between each layer in case any glitter got on the brush was just not something I wanted to deal with. So that is now my glitter base coat, and it'll probably be finished in like, the next couple of uses. So now I'm going back in with the builder in a bottle that I was using before, this nice neutral color, and I'm kind of slightly overlaying it by the cuticle area, kind of starting where the free edge is, and then bringing it all the way down to the tip of the nail, and then using this ombre brush to just feather the color nicely onto the nail over here. One of the reasons why I chose to use a builder in a bottle, aside from the fact that I really like the color and it kind of matches my dress a little bit, with, because I'm wearing like these like beigey brown shoes, so it kind of like fit the whole look with being like a beigey brown neutral color. But also I liked the idea of using a builder in a bottle, which is a little bit more of a thicker consistency when it comes to gel polishes. It's got a little bit more like weight to it, because you can do like small extensions with it and overlays with it, and that way I figured it would overlay the glitter really nicely, as opposed to using just a gel polish that sometimes it doesn't feather and doesn't fade as nicely over glitter. Sometimes you can really see like the difference between where the gel starts and stops, and I really wanted it to just look like a really natural fade where you can't really see the beginning or end of it. It just kind of like fades naturally, and because it's like a slightly sheer color, it just really blends over the glitter nicely. You can't tell what's going on. It's just there 1 minute and gone the next. So I really like how this whole set came out. So if you were doing something similar to it, definitely work with a sheer, either a builder in a bottle or a soft gel, or something that you can really sheer out and blend and feather really, really nicely onto the nail, and just making sure that everything was applied evenly and I didn't have any lumps and bumps on the nails. And then after that, I did a little bit of filing around the cuticle area to make sure that, well, in the video here I'm still doing it, but I just want to let you know that after I did all this curing, I did file around the cuticle area a little bit to make sure that all the glitters were flat in case there was anything sticking up above the layers. I wanted a nice smooth nail. And again, it did a little bit of filing around the edges of the nail so that everything was nice and smooth. When you start adding a bunch of layers on top of the nail, sometimes the shape of the nail can be a little bit lost, and especially when it comes to like a very tapered straight nail, like a coffin or an almond or something, when you start adding layers to it, it can make it look a little bit bulky on the side. So just wanted to make sure I was filing that down. And then I wanted to add just a little bit of something extra. So I pulled out this stamping plate from a Clear Jelly Stamper and their polish. I don't know what it's called. It has a name. I only know it by the number though. I think it's like 034 something. It's this gorgeous like iridescent white color, but like a very soft white. It's not like a bold white. And I thought it would just be really, really nice to add some pretty swirls and twirls onto the nails over here. It's just something a little bit extra. It gave me a little bit of like wedding feels with like maybe a little bit lacy, just something really subtle and nice, especially with the color. And I just wanted to add a little bit of charm to it. That's definitely like it can potentially be seen as like a little bit extra and not necessary, and it's definitely not necessary, but I liked it. I like having extravagant nails. I did go more neutral with this nail set than normally I do. If you've been here, usually I have like at least more than one color going on, but I really wanted the set to be elegant, but I also still wanted it to have, you know, a little bit of my personality with the glitters and the shimmers and stuff. Let me know when you have like a formal event, whether it's like a wedding or some sort of like classy or just formal event. Are you someone who like tones down your nails for that, if you're someone who does your nails frequently, or do you still go with your like typical like nail sets that you usually do? Because for my own wedding, I did just the basic French. So like I wanted it to make sure that it was like classic throughout all the, you know, for the rest of time, because you just can't go wrong with a French nail. But for this wedding, I'm just a wedding guest. I mean, she's my sister-in-law, so like technically I'm like part of the family, but like really I'm just a wedding guest, and I just really wanted to do something a little bit more dramatic. But I don't know, is this like too much? I don't think it's too much, especially for me. I didn't add any like 3D charms. I didn't add anything like that, and it's all like one color. So for me, this is pretty neutral, even though it can be seen as dramatic. But let me know what you think. Is this dramatic to you, or do you think this is still, you know, toned down? Let me know what kind of nails you like doing for formal events, and let me know what you think of this set down below. I adore how it came out. I'm loving it. So leave all your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.